fair to say you cannot go to university because you don't have money. Everyone has the right to education.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, we both wouldn't relate, man.
Okay, I think I think people should follow both. I don't think I'm where I want to be just yet, but I can say I'm getting there.
Okay, Absheni Dumelang, good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Palabra Podcast Corner. We are excited to have you today. So today I'm not alone. I have co-presenters with me. So I'm just going to let my beautiful people to introduce themselves. Sir.
Except Chinchanjan, one is your boy Zuma, aka Cheese the Party Master from next door. Toeka.
Sanibona ni dumelang ya leng pele ga lena ke na masobotsana go tswa Phalaborwa, the one and only Zinhle Khambule.
Yes, you can see for yourself that I and Fambine Rohan, Famba with very important people, Nkome Tweka and Nkome Masubudzara. So it's going to be lovely. So today we are going to touch on a very important question that can help people who are transitioning from being high school students to university students. So that's why we also have a very beautiful guest, Wanawalakaya Palabura, who's going to be tackling what we'll be talking about today. So I'm just going to give this time to our guest to introduce herself. Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, we are good.
Awesome. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Okay, so just to give a brief introduction, my name is Kutsaka Mabunda, born and bred here in Palabora, as Nyiko has already said. And currently my profession is in technology. So I work at an IT department for my employer is one of the mining companies here in Palabora. And yeah, I did my first year quite a while ago, guys. So I don't want to expose I don't want to expose my age. So yeah, I did my first year in 2015 at Rhodes University. Yeah, it was a bit challenging. I'm sure you guys will hear more about that as we progress in today's podcast. Yeah.
Awesome. Of course, we are going to hear a lot of things, and I can give you this assurance that the questions that we'll be asking are going to be friendly. Okay, so I'm going to give this time to one of our presenters to just start with the questions. Ms. Masudzan.
With me, let me just say I didn't prepare any questions, but the question that I can ask is, how did you, as a first-year student, were able to adapt to it?
Okay, so the adaptation part is very hard. I can say that. I remember when my mom dropped me off. So my mom slept over at my res, or the place where I was staying, the first day we got there. And then after that, she left. The next day she left. I cried for almost 2 weeks. And I'm that type of child who's not gonna show my emotions or anything. So it was hard. It was very hard. But you adapt as you go on. That's all I can say. The only way to adapt is just accept you are there, and you must know why you're there. You're there for a reason, and yeah, everything will come. There's a lot of challenges and everything, but just take them on as you go. Don't try and want to have it all figured out. Yeah. So that's very important, just to go with the flow, but just be careful. Don't go too much with it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we first got there, right? Okay, first of all, Rhodes University is very far from Palabora. It's about, if you take a bus, it's 24 hours top.
Yeah.
Right. And we know buses are very slow. It's like a full day. So we took a bus from here to Pretoria, our favorite Translux bus.
Yeah.
And then from there, we went, my sister who lives in Joburg took us to the airport. So from there, we flew to Port Elizabeth.
Was that your first time?
It was my first flight. It was so interesting. It was so nice. But my mom and I were late for the flight, so we had to rush through the airport and everything. But we learned from them, because that would become like my main mode of transport after that. So yeah, we got there. We got to Port Elizabeth, and then from there we drove to Grahamstown, which is where the university is. And then when we got there, we had to look for a res for me because I wasn't a prepared first year student.
Yeah.
I feel like people should learn from that, So I wasn't very prepared. So we did the whole registration thing. Then after that, we looked for accommodation for me, and then we found a student accommodation. So yeah, so it was a shared house, but every one of us, it was girls, we each had our bedrooms. She slept over, and then the next day she left, and yeah, it was very sad. She went back to Port Elizabeth to get her flight to Joburg, and yeah, her journey continued from there. But it was really sad, guys. I don't wanna lie, I remember I cried. I really cried a lot.
Okay, that's such a great story. I heard you mentioning the fact that you were not prepared. So if we were to maybe encourage or maybe highlight some of the things to the students who are now transitioning from being in high school to university, what are the key things that they can look into in terms of being prepared for this transition?
That's a good question. So what they should do, firstly, when you get your offer, like your initial offer to say you've been accepted to this university, and they will give you a list of instructions of things to do before going there. Like, this is the date for the registration, this is when you should register, this is what you must bring with you, this is what, like, basically read that email with all the expectations that they have from you, and make sure you understand everything. And if you need to follow up on something you did not understand or you did not quite get, then you can always follow up and be like, okay, you guys said in res I must bring 1, 2, 3. Like, is that a thing? Is it a requirement? Yeah, so you must just be prepared in that way. Because I didn't apply for res. That was my first mistake. And when I got there, I wanted to be in res, but there was no space for res. So that's why we had to run around and look for a place for me to stay. You see, and where we're gonna sleep that night, eh? It was hectic, and we are far from home, guys, and you don't know anyone. So it's very important to go through everything, go through your university's page, and just find out more. Or if you know someone, if you know students who've been there before at the same institution, you can always find out more information from them. So I'd say that's a way to just basically prepare yourself. It differs from institution to institution. So yeah, you must prepare yourself for whatever institution you're going in. And one thing I can say about the registration fees, like I said, I wasn't that prepared. So when I received my offer to go study at the university for the degree I wanted to study, they sent an email with like all the things you need to do, your prerequisites and so forth. So one of the things that was there was that there was no registration fee at Rhodes University back then. I don't know about now. They used to have what they called MIP, minimum initial payment, something like that. And that payment was about more than 10% of the actual fees. So if the fees are, I think my fees were about 39,000, 38,000, just tuition only at that time. So the MIP was about somewhere around 20k. So that's what they needed before I could come and study there. So when I told my mom was like, "There's no way."
That's more like registration. Not like it's like registration. It's beyond.
It's beyond, because normally registrations are like 8,000.
Yeah, 5,000.
They wanted MIP, and it was a lot of money. And when I told my mom, she's like, "There's no way, we're going there." Our black, And I told her, I read to her, "No, this is what they say." She's like, "There's no way." And we got there, and it was exactly the case. Yeah, but I was so lucky that before I went, actually on our way there in the bus, in the Translux bus on our way to Pretoria, I had applied for a bursary like 2 months before, around November. So this is like February, we're on our way there. And then I received a call from the company, and they said they're offering me a bursary.
Wow.
So when we got there and they wanted the MIP money, and my mom was like, "Yeah, I didn't believe you." I was like, "I'm just gonna call that lady that called me this morning
and
tell her to talk to them to register me like now." And I called her, and she just spoke. I don't know what she said on the phone. Even to this day, me and her are very close. I love her so much. Yeah. So she just, I don't know what she said to that registrar, and they just registered me. They're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you're registered and whatnot." So yeah, that was God's grace, guys.
Amen to that.
Yeah,
Awesome. Okay. Still on the issue of finances, maybe to someone who is from an environment, Jagu, they are not informed. I don't know how to put it, but so okay. Basically, what I'm trying to ask, Ego, how can people be aware or be prepared financially, especially if maybe they are from a poor family background. I didn't want to use that word poor or disadvantaged. Yes. Yeah. So yeah. So like, how can students be prepared financially for your things like registrations? Yeah, before they actually get bazar. Yeah.
I feel like the issue of finances is very specific, and we need to be blunt about that. Like, you might find that you're from a disadvantaged background.
Yeah.
There is no money and so forth. I think the first thing to do is look for institutions that won't require things like what I mentioned now, an MIP or registration up front or anything like that. And also another thing, I think the government offers, what do they call it?
NSFAS.
NSFAS, yes. Yes, I think that's one of the options you should look out for, because it's not fair to say you cannot go to university because you don't have money. Everyone has the right to education.
True.
Yeah. So maybe look for things like that, like you know that you have a disadvantaged background and so forth. Look for bursaries, look for NSS, look for whatever resources you can find around you first, and then from there you can take it from there. I think the important thing is prioritize getting registered. Once you're registered, you're within.
Yeah.
The other thing that you look out for, but later on, that would be like getting your degree or whatever, or your results, but that would depend on like the overall fee. But once you're registered, you're within, you can study, you can also.
So you were saying to look into sorry, you were saying to look into schools that don't require that certain fee. What if there's a specific school that I want to go to and they require that amount of money that you're saying I shouldn't look into? Because you know that we're in a generation where obviously fashion is leading. Let's say for example I want to go to vets. So vets, they require a certain amount of money. What do I do?
Okay, I'd say first of all, when it comes to education, don't follow what other people are doing, or don't follow what the majority is doing. Like, people are saying, I went to Rhodes University, I knew nobody who went there. You know, I wasn't going there because I know someone who studied there, or university or rates in fashion or anything like that. So that's what I'm saying. The first rule, don't follow what other people are following, or don't follow what other people are doing, because it might not even be your journey. You know. So do what's best for you. Just do you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did answer my questions. And along your journey as a first year, what was like the challenges that you actually faced, apart from the financial issues? I know there were a lot.
Yes. Okay. One of the challenges I faced was, I think it goes back to the first question you asked. Just basically getting used to the environment. You know, it was a new environment, and for someone like I went somewhere that was very far from home. So it was very hard to adapt to just the new environment on its own. I'm fresh from high school, guys.
Yeah.
I was in grade 12 the other month. Now I'm in university. I have to be responsible for my own self. No one tells me wake up, go to class. You know, I have to do that all on my own. So that was one of that was a great challenge. I don't even want to talk about the academics. Like, there's a huge difference. And when we got there, I remember in orientation week, or what we call O week, we were basically told the stats, the statistics, and the truth. Like, basically, less than 50% of you will graduate. Less than 50% of you. So that was hectic. You know, and I asked myself, am I gonna be part of the 50%?
Yeah.
We haven't started. Yes, we haven't even started a single class. Yep. Okay. And then they told us, they're like, these are the statistics, that less than 50% of you are going to graduate. Period. And less than, and even lesser, a lesser amount is going to graduate record time. You see. So the academics are crazy. It's very fast. It's just so hectic. And one other thing that I know other students will relate to is dealing with like your mental health. The things that I mentioned, they can have a huge strain on your mental health to a point where you just want to give up and go home. I don't know how many times I called my mom, I can't. Yeah, so the fact that I still remember all these things, it tells you how intense it was at that time, you see. So I think, yeah, those were some of the challenges that I went through in my first year. And they even go on to second year and third year until you graduate, you know.
What's the difference, ne? And not to discriminate or discourage certain institutions, but what's the difference from studying on a college and studying a university? I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think I can answer from a university perspective because I don't really know the college side of things. I think the first difference is the outcome, which is the qualification you get at the end of the day. You know, when you go to university, you're expected to have a university degree, and some universities offer diploma, and then if you go further with your studies, you'll get your honors degree and masters and so forth. So I think that's the first main difference that I can see for myself. And in that, knowing that the qualification you get from university is deemed higher than a qualification that you get at a college, but not that we're saying college qualifications are not, they just don't have the same weight, right? So that's another difference I can tell. So meaning that means that if the university one is higher, it means maybe university is a bit harder than college. But to me, I think they could be on the same kind of rank, because if you're doing maths in college, the people who are doing maths in college and people who are doing maths in university, they're doing like similar stuff. You know, it's very similar. Because I remember when I went to university, I did have friends who were studying at college, and I remember in my first year of pure mathematics, and a friend of mine was also doing an engineering degree which had maths as well. So we were doing what we called integrals, and he was also doing the same. So you may find some similarities, but I'm guessing university may be a bit harder, and maybe it takes longer to get a degree than it would take to get a qualification from college as well. So I think those are some of the main differences I can think of.
So, looking at let's just compare between high school and you being a first year student. Like, what was different between the two, academically and both being at school, just living there? What was different about it?
Okay, I can say firsthand, academically, it was harder. You know, the things you learned in high school, you do some revision depending on what you're studying, obviously. So I did see some similarities and stuff. Some things are a continuation, some things are getting harder and tougher, you know. I mean there's a reason why you're going to university, to further your studies at the end of the day. So that furthering of studies, that's the first difference. It's harder out there. And also I think I mentioned this as well before, that it's very hard being out there on your own. You don't know anybody. You don't know if you don't have those friends that you used to have in high school anymore, and you have to make new friends. If you're not an easygoing person, you don't have like an easygoing personality and stuff like that. It's really hard to navigate that and make new friends. That's also very hard. And also, independence can be good, but if you abuse it or don't use it wisely, it can come back and backfire, you know. So when you are in high school, you're obviously living at home with your parents, and they want you at home at 6, you know. You must be home, you must be studying, you must be in your room, you must adhere to certain rules at home. So there are no rules there. You make your own rules. So it's important to understand what kind of rules you need to make for yourself, you know, so that you can succeed at the end of the day. So one thing that can keep you going is just you must just remember why you're there. Anyways, like I said, people go to university for different reasons, you know. So you must just remember your goal. Why are you there in the first place? Yeah. So that's the main one of the main differences in there.
Okay, I have one last question. That's something that I actually struggled with as well. You're in high school, doing matric, ne? So obviously you did choose subjects or a stream that you're gonna go into. But once it's time to apply for university, something clicks in your mind and you're like, you changing your mind. I wanna do this. So what do I do exactly? What do you do? Like, how do you get to know exactly what you want? Yeah, because you get into that thing, here I am, let's say for example, I want to be a teacher. But then along the journey you change your mind. No, I wanna be a lawyer, or I wanna be a doctor. Like, how do you overcome that? How do you overcome it?
I think the first challenge comes with the fact that you need to make a decision about. I feel like this is unfair actually. When you are when you go to grade 10 in South Africa, you must choose a stream that you will in the future that determines who you are 16. Most of us are 16. I was 16 in grade 10, I think. Yeah, I was about 16 or 15, somewhere there. So you're telling me a 15-year-old must determine what they want to be when they are 40. You see, that's the first problem with that. I feel like it's not fair. It doesn't make sense. Kulokona 16, you must know what you want to be at 40. You know? So, this is how you can just navigate around that. So, say, let's use your example. You wanted to be a teacher and then you change your mind. Once you go to university, you change your mind. You want to be a lawyer. Once you're registered, that's why I said the main thing is to get registered into your university. And then from there, you can work around changing your degree. Because it may happen that you wanted to be one thing. When you get there, you face reality like, hey, this is not even for me in the first place, you know. So you're allowed, most institutions will give you that opportunity to change into another stream or to change your majors so that at the end of the day, you can be aligned to go to this certain degree. Say you wanted to study pharmacy and you applied for pharmacy and you were going to classes that are related to pharmacy, right? And then now you decide along the road, you know what, I actually want to be a medical doctor. So you are allowed, you can talk to your dean or your registrar, someone who can advise you to change that stream. They'll advise you, okay, if you want to go into the stream, it means that you must change to these subjects or to these majors so that at the end of the day you can go to 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that's one of the things you can do yourself.
I feel like Zuma has a question.
Of course.
Ndzi nga ta vula ku i yini xi nga ku susumeta xi nga ku nyika matimba xi ku endla ku hambi a ngo swi nga endla ku nga applyanga course yin'we ti tele but va gcina va ku accepta hi course liya lexi nga endla ku tshama varsity i yini. Okay, na swi twisisa ku ri tiva leswi swi lavaka a wu lava yini.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question.
Interesting question.
Yeah, I think lexi nga endla ku ni ya varsity, guys, i vatswari shem.
Exactly.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Okay, so yeah, like part of the reason, obviously, I think it was my parents, you know. They wanted the best for me and they wanted me to go to university, and I was just like, okay, let me just honor their wishes. You know, when I was in matric, I think it was 2014, I went to my first year in 2015. My father passed away in 2014, like during my final exams. You know, my final matric exams, and his dream was for me to go to university, you know. So that's one of the reasons I honored that. I wanted to honor him, be like, okay, this is what my dad would have wanted for me, and I know he wanted the best. Like, he's, you know, we must go to university, not knowing why they want that for you, you know. And my dad was the first in his family to get a university degree himself. So he really wanted me, so I had to keep the star. He used to tell me, you must keep the standard. Yes. So I had to honor that, and that's one of the reasons I went. But my own personal reasons also was that I wanted to be somebody at the end of the day, because I could kind of see where the country is going at that point, you know. I saw that, okay, maybe university is not such a bad idea. So I can make something out of myself at the end of the day, you know, by going to university and study something that I like, you know. And at first my family advised me to I had applied for pharmacy, to study pharmacy, and then you guys know I'm not a pharmacist today. So there's a story behind that as well, you know. I got there, I registered, I went to the pharmacy stream. Most people remember in my first year I used to wear a coat. However, I didn't really like it. I didn't like chemistry. It wasn't my best as well at school, even from high school. Like, it wasn't my best. I wasn't passing it that well, you know. So I didn't like it, which resulted in me failing my first semester dismally in chemistry. Dismally. So I was like, you know. And I didn't tell anyone. I just changed to what I wanted to do. You know, when we're in orientation week, we got there. We're going to different presentations where each department was presenting their department, what courses they offer, what majors they offer, and the computer science department. Wow. I was blown away with that innovation, that technology, everything there.
And then you can't wear glasses and not like IT.
Exactly. You can't wear glasses.
What are you saying? You also like IT? Oh.
I mean, we both wouldn't relate, man.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, I was blown away by that presentation in my orientation week. And after the first semester and second semester, when I went back, like when I went home, guys, my results were they were not nice. And I showed my mom. She's like, don't worry, you will pass next semester. And then I dropped all of those subjects that were chemistry related, but it was still within the same degree, which was BSc. So I dropped everything pharmacy, and then I went for what I liked, you know. And it was not easy. It was challenging. And anyone will tell you that anything in tech to study, it's very challenging. But I liked it, you know. So that pushed me. It gave me purpose. I really liked it, so I just went for it. And yeah, that's how I came out with a degree at the end of the day. So that December, or the end of the year, my second semester, I passed very well. That it even covered the fails I had in first semester. And I think I did that because I was doing something I love, you know. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, but I think you can still look into it. If you were to advise someone who's maybe going to university next year, should they follow, as they choose what they're going to study, should they follow passion or money? I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because you find a lot of people. I'll just give an example with our hospital. You find a lot of people who are nurses there, but their minds are not there in J. You can see they are in it for the money, but the treatment we get, you know. So what should people really like face or like follow? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think I think people should follow both.
Okay.
You know, if you're passionate about something, also think about this. Is it gonna give you like a good income now? You know, I think whatever it is that you like, if you like something, you must be able to make money out of it. If that's your goal. If you don't want money, that's also fine, you know. But if making money is your goal at the end of the day, and also doing something that you love, then I think that's they go together, these two things. Because if you go for passion, and within that passion you don't put in the work to make the money, then what are you even doing? You know what I mean? Yes. So you must go for both, guys. Like, look at do your research. It's very important to do research, you know. It's very important to do research. Like, we have Google, you have the internet. Just Google what are the most rare skills in South Africa, you know. So that gives you better chances of getting employed. And if a skill is rare, it means it also has what? Money, because it's not easy to find a doctor, for example. Okay. You know. Yeah.
I have something on that. I wanted to say something. Apparently there's been a thing, Google, South Africa needs more doctors. Yet we are in 2024, and there was a certain article that I saw from the news that says we have 800 unemployed doctors, and you still go back to the fact that we need doctors. What are the doctors for? Because there's unemployed doctors. Like, what are we gonna do with that?
I think we must we must investigate this more. Like, who's the source of that Google article, or who's the source of that? Like, who wrote that South Africa actually needs more doctors? Like, is it the actual reality? Was it said by the president? Was it said by the Department of Health that we need more doctors? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think I've also heard conversations around that, like that we need more doctors. But I think it's also important to go back and understand who actually said that, you know. Yeah. So I'm not sure what's happening in the country right now. I mean, they say
who's sure what's happening in the country?
Nobody. The other day I was looking at an article. Actually, it was a tweet. Someone posted a screenshot of an article from Business Insider. I think it's a website. So the article was just basically, it was a list of all the professions that are scarce in South Africa. And someone commented, or the majority of the comments were, really, we have a lot of graduates who are sitting at home with these qualifications. What do you mean? This is what's scarce in South Africa. So I don't know what's happening in the country, guys. I mean, like, that poses the question, why do we have so many graduates sitting at home with university degrees? They are capable. You understand what I mean? Yeah, so there's a lot going on.
And at the same time, I just feel like, let me not quote anyone's name, but I feel like the people in higher positions are the ones who are misleading us. Every year before the results, matric dijwa, the Minister of Higher Education, or whatever you call it, he once stated, some careers that you're talking about, I think I know what you're talking about. I would like those certain careers. Still, there's people who are sitting at home, got those certain qualifications. And if you were to check, but people who don't deserve to be in university are in university at the moment. People who don't deserve to be working, they are working at the moment. And it still goes back to the question that, do you prefer, do you say education is the key to success? Zuma, Mr. Polo. Do you think education is the key to success? Because you are living in a country where we have educated people who are not working, and we have uneducated people who are working and earning more than the people who went to school for that. So do you think that it's fair, looking at how things are?
Obviously not. But I think you're right to say that the people who are misleading us are people in higher positions. And also, a majority of the people who are misleading us is the people who are sitting in parliament. The people who are responsible for this country. They're really misleading us. You know what I mean? So, because how come things are the way they are?
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense, you know? So, but one thing I can urge young people to do as well is to look at other countries. Like, create a LinkedIn account, go into LinkedIn, search for jobs. Since COVID, we've had the capabilities of working from home. So you can work remote for a country that's in UK, for example. And we also have young people who are leaving the country, going to the US, just going overseas for work, because they can see there's nothing much here for them. So I think we can just sit around and wait for these leaders to do something, although they should be doing something. I think we must also just think outside of the box. Like, okay, fine, I have my degree in public relations, for example. What can I do with it? Like, just go online if you have access to the internet and just look for jobs that are abroad. There's a lot of young people who are working for companies that are not in South Africa, and they pay very well. They pay better than countries that are, companies that are here.
No, interesting. Just to off-ramp a little bit, I know this is not part of what we are discussing, but since we are now tackling politics and everything, should we encourage young people to vote?
Yes. My answer is a definite yes. Because I think if young people don't vote, and that's the reason why we're here. One of the reasons why we're here, because young people are not going out there to vote. you know. The other day I was watching the news actually, and they were just reading out the statistics of, you guys know this past weekend was a voting registration
Yeah.
weekend.
Registration
Yeah, they were just reading out the statistics there to say that the numbers have actually increased. More young people have registered to vote.
70%.
Yes, 70%, which is awesome. So from here, I feel like young people must really vote because we form majority of the country. It's us, you know. Yeah, the elderly, those ones, they're dying. You know.
Still talking about the transition, right? One of the things, we have a college here locally. One of the things we see with people coming here, it's the misconception they have about freedom.
Yeah.
You know, like people think first year is freedom. I'm far away from home. So, what advice can you give to first year students who are thinking, I'm my first year, like I'll have freedom, and this is where people miss it. If like the first year is what determines the other years, So, what advice can you give to first year students or those that are going to be first year students in terms of freedom?
I mean, the freedom is nice, I won't lie. It's nice to go from a place where you were a dependent. You're still a dependent in a way, but you're also independent in that, like, your parents are not around. You can make your own decisions, but you're also an adult at the end of the day, and you must remember that. But one thing you can use to manage the freedom, basically, don't forget why you're there. Have fun, but not too much. Have fun, but also remember, I'm here for a reason, Have something that drives you at the end of the day, you see. So if you know that you're there to study, to get your degree, to change the situation at home, or you're just doing it for yourself, don't forget that. Don't get overexcited. Don't forget to always go back to the drawing board and think, you know what? Yeah, I think I'm having too much fun. Let me go back. Let me refocus. It's very important to understand why you are there in the first place. That is why if you're going to university, this is the reality of it. I'm sorry to say this, but if you're going to college or university or any higher education because your parents said you must go there, but you don't understand why you're going there, there's going to be a huge problem. You won't manage because you're not doing it for yourself as well. You're doing it because it was an instruction from your parents, And sometimes, even if it's an instruction from your parents, if you don't want to do it for you, do it for them at least, That will motivate you. That will keep you going as well. So yeah, I don't know if you answered.
So do you now, coming back to you, do you feel like what you've achieved in university is working for you now? If you were to encourage someone who wants to go to university, looking at where you are now,
I don't think I'm where I want to be just yet, but I can say I'm getting there. I'm kind of I'm on the right path, and I think it worked for me because it gave me a foundation, to be able. It gave me a beginning to be able to work my way up to where I want to be, So, I'd say going to university worked for me because I did. At the end of the day, I got my degree and everything, and I graduated, and then I got a job and stuff. But and I got my polo, guys. But working, you see, but what I can say as well is that, like, don't just stop there. Don't just go to university and get your degree and stop there. If you can do more than that, go ahead and do it. If you want to start a business using whatever you learned or whatever your degree is about, go ahead and do that. Even if it's outside of your degree, go ahead and do that. Our country is in a state where you cannot manage to relax. You know what I mean? So if your university degree, if you're someone who's sitting out there and it's not doing much for you, just explore other options. Because I can tell you this for a fact that in a working environment, a degree is not very important. Understand? I'm saying this as someone who has it. People will tell you a degree is just a paper. It is at certain levels. It is just a paper. Because if right now a company is looking for someone who's gonna come work for them, if it's a professional position, they'll most probably look for someone with a lot of work experience, more than just having a degree. But it can also be a requirement that we can hire someone who doesn't have this certain qualification, because companies have their policies to adhere to. They have certain things to adhere to, that they set these policies to say, if you're going to be in a managerial position, we need someone who has a certain qualification in 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? So yeah, I lost my train of thought.
Okay, that's awesome. I think now we can do our closing remarks. So I'm gonna give my presenters, co-presenters, maybe it could be a closing remark or a closing question, and then we'll start with JR.
Another question, me. And that's up Kens. Manito mus.
No, I can't hear you.
No, and that's up Kens. I was expecting kahle topic leya university na nkoka mabo. So that's up Kens and bona nkoka ku university namuntlha. Ni nga swi tiva ku na nkoka ku university.
My socials, actually I only have Instagram. Facebook I deactivated. Why are you still on Facebook?
That's because you and I are old.
It's 2024.
I really don't like Facebook as well. I just have it for control.
Yeah, same. I also kept Facebook for a while, but like I think I deleted it 2 years ago or a year ago. Yeah, because it's the village in 2024. No, you guys can find me on Twitter. Twitter or X.
We're not promoting any social media.
No.
Channel.
Yeah, you can find me on
We're
Twitter.
Not sponsored by Instagram.
We are not sponsored by Mark Zuckerberg whatsoever. It's the same person face. Yeah. So I'm on Twitter, which is Kutsaka _ and then I'm also on Instagram with the same handle as well. So yeah, if you want my WhatsApp number, we'll talk. I'm kidding.
Definitely. So whoever's watching, please be sure to go check our social media out. But please note that the Instagram is private. And my social media platforms, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. I mean, I'm gorgeous. So yeah, my social media platforms, all of them is Ausi, and then Instagram is ausi.z. And over to you.
Women lavaka. And listen ku lava ku swa mihleketa ka swona. Ngom lava ka meme tan kuma Facebook hambileswi va nga yi tirhisiki. Yo me Facebook ni tirhisa ku promote swa me. So at some point me ni vona ntirho ka Facebook. That's why loko mi nga voni ntirho ka yona na swi twisisa. You have grown up. So Facebook tan kuma JR Zuma, Twitter JR Zuma, Instagram JR Zuma, TikTok JR Zuma.
So if anyone is interested in finding out more about what Sefapani Lodge has to offer, please be sure to follow them on their social media platform, both on Facebook and on Instagram. We're gonna drop the handles down there.
Of course. So before I do my closing remarks, I'm going to give this time to our guests to do your closing remarks. What do you want to leave the people with?
I think this was all around first year university and navigating that. I just want to say, guys, ladies, gentlemen, just focus on the goals that you set for yourself and focus on reaching them. Don't stop until you get there. And also, don't stop believing in God for that, because I feel like I wouldn't be where I am without God guiding me. Put God first in your plans, and then he's gonna guide you and he's gonna help you to get there. And he's also gonna give you wisdom to say, whoa, you don't need to do this, don't go there. You know what I mean? It flies here, but yes, so just focus on your goals and you will reach them, and just keep believing that you will reach them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kutsaka. It's been really great having you here. So we really appreciate you, and we want to appreciate our fellow hosts as well. These guys are amazing. So Thank you very much. The one thing that I'm going to leave you with, it's a quote which says, it's good or it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So don't do things because you are looking at an opportunity, but just be prepared either way, and opportunities will find you along the way. So whatever it is that you seek, go after it. And we really appreciate you. So if you're looking for me on social medias, platforms, it's Julian Nyiko Ndlovu on Instagram and LinkedIn. Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you for chilling with us at Palaburwa Podcast Corner, and we hope to see you next time when we get the invitation, of course.
Thank you guys for having me, by the way. Thank you so much. This was so fun. Thank you.
And a big shout out to the man behind the camera, Mr. Reynas Sequela. Yeah.
Hey, that was nice, eh?
Singahamba mos.
It was so interesting.